Welcome to this module on history of communication. Today you will be learning about Unit 1, which deals with three major parts: ancient media, medieval media, and modern media, and history of these three media. As you are aware, uh, during ancient times, media did not have the same qualities which media had during medieval times and which media during the present times have. Ancient media refer to those media which do not have the properties of modern mass media. However, they did relate to large groups of people or small groups of people through whatever they wanted to convey and communicate. There was an audience for ancient media and medieval media. However, as in the case of the properties of the media, the characteristics of the audience also differ across these three time planes. Audience during ancient and medieval times were located in different planes, and that means that they were different from what is known as mass audience in the present circumstances. Audience were widely scattered, but they were not as numerous as members of mass audience. So, in that respect, audience during ancient and medieval times did have some of the properties of what we call now as mass audience, but did not also have some of the properties of mass audience. One of the properties which the ancient mass audience did not have, medieval mass audience did not have, is the number. They were widely scattered, but they were not as numerous as members of mass audience because the population sizes in many important regions were numerically less compared to modern times. Coming to the properties of ancient media, in different parts of the world, there were different types of ancient media. Some of these ancient medias were granite based. Some of them, as in the case of Asian countries like Japan and Korea, were either paper based or silk based. In the case of countries like India, particularly in South India, for instance, the ancient media were granite based. All of us have studied the history of the Mauryan Empire, and Mauryan period provides us classic examples of properties of ancient media. You are very well aware of what is popularly known as Ashokan ethics. During the time of Emperor Ashoka, for the first time in the world, communication reached new heights in terms of the properties of propagation. During Ashoka's time, there were ethics installed all over the empire, across the empire. So you find Ashokan edicts even in South India, in the present day Andhra Pradesh. And Ashokan edicts prove one point, that there was a reach which is comparable to the reach of modern mass media during ancient times, even though these granite stones, these inscriptions on granites, do not did not have any technological basis or properties. In that sense, we can call ancient media as non-technology mediated ones. They were mediated by naturally available medium or media or their properties. In the case of countries like China and Japan, you add ancient media like locally available silk screens and paper. In the case of Korea, you add ancient media like woodblock printed books. They did not have what we had, that is granite based media. During medieval times, in countries like India, the granite based media reached new heights. And when big temples were built in India, they also served as one of the important sites of communication. So, in the place of one rock edict, you have numerous rock edicts as part of a temple complex. A temple in the Indian case is a very complex, beautiful medium of communication. The examples we have today, that is modern mass media. And coming to the emergence of modern mass media, here we need to relate to one important phase in the history of mankind, that is the birth of industrial revolution. Before industrial revolution, we need to remember one important milestone in printing, that is the invention of metal based movable type. There were many evolutionary stages in the history of printing, in the history of movable type. Movable type was first invented in Asia, and when it was invented and used in countries like Korea, Japan, and China, instead of using metal, printers used wood, they used ceramic, and they used a combination of metals. But when movable type was invented by Gutenberg in Europe, he had refined by then uh, the technology of movable type, and he used an alloy which continued to be used for a very long time, and that marks an important phase in the history of printing, and in the history of knowledge sharing, and in the history of dissemination of information, etc., etc. And when this technology joins hands with the technology made possible by industrial revolution, that is steam engine, you add the birth of mass circulated newspapers. So when we add mass circulated newspapers, we also add the possibility of a truly meaningful mass audience. For the first time in the world, when industrial cities were born in Europe, people started migrating from small communities, villages like communities, to big urban centers where they had immense employment opportunities. And cities like Birmingham, Lancashire, along with other cities, started attracting large waves of population from rural areas in Western Europe. And these members constituted what came to be known as mass audience. And these members, for the first time, were settling in a very close, narrow geographical region that came to be known as an industrial city. And these cities posed enormous communication challenges to the new members of the population, because they did not know each other as they knew fellow human beings when they were part of small village based communities. So they definitely needed a kind of mass medium that could connect them in some way. So there was this first application of the steam operated printing machine trying to cater to these faceless individuals in a new geographical region that came to be known as the industrial city. So you have this connection between the birth of a technology, steam operated machine, and you have this sociological implication or possibility, that is the birth of the mass audience for the first time in the history of mankind. And when these two things came together, you add the birth of modern mass media.